Hello, 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 hello. This is Kimberly from Are You Awakening, and here with Miranda, my fellow Tipsy mystic. We told no one we were doing this. We actually didn't even know we were doing this, but
we didn't even tell ourselves.
we didn't tell ourselves, but it is Black Friday, and I am in an Orion mood. I've been pulling in Orion energy, so there's some symbolic shit going on right now. So what do you think, Miranda? First of all, are you drinking? Because it's morning. Well, it's morning where I am.
It's 12:20 where I am. I'm drinking water.
Mm-hmm.
H2O.
H2O. Well, I am drinking coffee. And so, do you know why it's called Black Friday?
I know in the black financially, meaning
Looking it up.
stores are in a profit now, which they call in the black as opposed to in the red, because when you write negative on a balance sheet, if you know anything about accounting, when you write a negative on a balance sheet, you write it with a red pen, and then when you're positive, you write it with a black pen. So Black Friday, with everyone, doing Christmas shopping and sales, stores are finally in the black. Whip out that black pen.
Without the black pen. That's exactly right. So I'm not one of those people that goes into the shopping mode thing. In fact, I don't buy a lot of gifts at all anymore. Sorry, friends.
Me neither. Just for the kids.
Yeah, I'll give experiences if I have to. Like, oh, that sounded bad. That's not the kind of experience I meant.
Maybe.
Anyway, besides that. So I went out for my walk today in the hills, and it's kind of a Friday and it's kind of a holiday at the same time. Right? Like,
yeah.
There were people zooming past me and everything, but the Christmas lights are going up, and I'm such a huge fan of Christmas lights. I don't care what religion you are. Everybody's got blinky lights somewhere in their religion, right?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe not the Mennonites, because they're not big on electricity and stuff. But
They're
other than that,
literally anything that would bring joy.
Yeah, you know what? When was the last time you saw a Mennonite?
Oh, all the time.
So they are where you are. Because, I haven't seen one since I lived back in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, there's the grocery store that we used to go to down the street from us growing up was run by Mennonites. So, number one, they make a mean baked good.
They do. Oh, my gosh.
Amazing. And because the store was closed on Sunday because they're Mennonites and it's God's Day, on Saturday you could go in and all their baked goods were like 50% off. And so, I didn't grow up with money. So like if my mom needed to go to the grocery store on a Saturday, you bet I would be like inviting myself along because I knew I might actually score a treat. And they made these like monster cookies. If you know what a monster cookie is, it's like an oatmeal cookie and a peanut butter cookie and an M&M cookie. Like if they all had a baby, then it's a monster cookie, and it was like the size of my face. So you knew maybe, or like donuts or something.
They made a mean donut. They made a mean pie. Right? Mm-hmm. So I spent time with the Amish, and that's where I got
all fly pie.
Some shoe fly pie. So, I don't know if anyone's ever been out to Lancaster and all those places, but I've gone out there many times as a kid, and we would go eat at, you just stop in someone's house and they're feeding you, right? And they're not just feeding you. It's like frickin' Henry VIII banquet full of like fried chicken, and I don't know what they put on those potatoes. The potato salad, it's like a hot German potato salad, and then it's so amazing. So anyway,
I'm gonna have some Amish men making my kitchen cabinet soon.
That is amazing. So we did manage to get food in the first 10 minutes of our talk, even though
Yeah.
I don't even know how. Oh, and in fact, one of the things we were going to talk about was the Advent calendar that you found, which I find is quite humorous.
Did you get yours yet?
I did not, but tell everyone what it is, and tell everyone what it is and what it's supposed to represent.
I don't know if I know what it's supposed to represent, but it's a wine advent calendar, right? And it has the cutest little bottles. So every day you get a new glass. It's like 6 ounces of wine, and you open up your little door, and it's adorable little teeny tiny glass bottles with a teeny tiny little cork. And they're adorable. And we were looking at the names of the wines on there, which were all very fun, awake names, like Fortune Favors, and I forgot some of the other ones. But what I got my sister to buy them for, convinced her to actually get it. I was like, because my nephew is all about potions, and I was like, those bottles would make perfect little potions, little potion bottles. So.
What kind of potions does he make?
I don't know, whatever creative, made-up crap comes into a 9-year-old boy's head.
Well, I don't think it's all that much different from the creative crap that comes into a 36-year-old woman's head or a 55-year-old woman's head if we really let it happen. So, what's he doing? What's he doing with the potions? Because, this could be... Stuff. Right? Now, see, here we are saying, all right, he's making potions, but we don't know what they're doing. We don't know where they're going. Right? But the kid is all about potions, and you're supplying him with bottles, but we don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know. He's got something.
That's what I'm saying, is that there's a lot of shit going on in this world, and we're just like, I don't know. I'm just doing it, and there's more. If you looked, not just you, but anyone, looked at that situation and asked some questions, you could uncover so much stuff. Right? How old is he? 7?
God, I should know how. He's either 8 or 9.
Okay, but he knows how to make potions. Okay, so good, fun red flag there, right? Mm-hmm. That he's knowing how to make potions. But this is the stuff I want to interview this kid. I want to find out what he's doing.
Max is very awake. He's very awake. He's told me about his life as a wolf.
Okay.
He's very in tune with that. He remembers that. He was definitely, speaking of Orion energies, he was definitely there. He always wants to play the bad guy. Mm-hmm. And whenever we ask him, because like his dad and him are both really big into aliens and ETs, and whenever we ask him which one he is, he's always a reptilian.
Good kid.
Yeah, so... he also has talked about how he was waiting when he was really little. He was waiting on the moon to cut before he came to Earth. So this little way station, he was on there, I guess.
Yeah. So.
And now he's making potions. So
and now he's very making potions, kid,
yeah, for sure.
So, but I mean, here's you're getting a fun wine advent calendar, right? You're gonna get a 6-ounce glass of wine every day until Christmas. So it's actually a religious thing. The Advent is counting down until Christmas, right? So, which I think is quite humorous, right there, right? A little bit ironic. It's like we're going to drink every single day. Until Christmas because we have to, or right? No, but
I don't know. I already got mine, so I can start counting down to the Grand Conjunction on the 21st or my birthday on the 22nd.
I would be counting down. I would be counting down to the 21st if I were you. I mean, look at all these predictions, right? So many people on so many timelines. The world's gonna end, and we've heard that so many times. And no, I mean, unless you want it to, we're gonna be on the party timeline. Yeah. And so counting down for that sounds like way more fun than somebody's birthday. And, hey, that was a sacrilegious thing for me. Oh, not your birthday.
Oh, Jesus' birthday.
Yes, not your birthday.
Oh, I was like...
Your birthday is what, the 22nd? Second. Yeah, no, that's not what I'm talking about. All right. Well, before I trigger you more, I want to talk about the Orion energy because it's coming in very strongly for me, and I'm learning a huge lesson that's going to get passed on to humanity, whether you want it or not.
Ready or not, here it comes.
Ready or not. And what's going on right now is, okay, yes, I'm in Los Angeles. They've closed us down again. There's a lot of people with a lot of fear and all this stuff. So basically restriction, right? Mm-hmm. Cancellation of everybody's Thanksgiving was canceled. And here we are being restricted again, which is a little bit of oppression, right? A little bit.
Yeah.
It's symbolic compression and symbolic control. And so I'm feeling it big time in me, even though I am not being repressed at all. I mean, okay, so I had some Thanksgiving plans that were canceled, but for some people who don't have the outlets to release this energy that they're feeling, they're kind of boiling up, and there's a lot of anxiety. So this is a rare time where you will see me wicked emo. Like, I was like, you know what? F everything. F you. And there was an earthworm. Thankfully there was no earthworm. But if there was an earthworm, I might have just said, you know what? You're on your own today. I'm not going to rescue today. But thankfully that didn't happen. But so I generally, when I'm feeling this way, like I'm feeling oppressed, or I'm pulling in energy that doesn't seem to be coming from me, but it's the collective energy, and I want to do something with it. Usually I'll go for a walk, and I'll leave it at certain parts of my walk where I know that it gets recycled back into something better. But today I went for my walk and I came home and I didn't feel any better. And that's the first time. I'm like, wait, is this awakening shit like broken? Like all of a sudden, am I going backwards?
Yeah, on my tools.
Right, like what happened? This is something I thought I was really good at, right? And then, of course, the guides, when they're quiet, it's because they're waiting for you to the light to go on in your head. And I sit there, I'm like, oh, God damn it. And then Seth comes in, my friend Seth, and he's always about making sure that you recognize why you are creating on this planet in this particular space-time right now. And he's like, you're an artist, and you're surrounded on Earth by artists. There are a ton of creative people on this earth right now. And one of the reasons that you are here is because you want to learn how to take negative emotions, sadness, depression, whether they're yours or from the collective, and we want you to learn how to create with them something that ends up being positive. So I'm like, what? So I get to feel like shit? And that's basically it, is that you create from the state of feeling like shit. And it's a completely different creation, right?
Absolutely.
So,
got different paint colors in your palette, right?
Yeah. So, there was all this emo stuff that was coming out, and I'm thinking, all right, well, now I'm in the middle of a painting that I'm doing, and all of a sudden I'm looking at it, and it's looking darker, and it's looking more mysterious, and I want to hide things in there, and which is exactly what Da Vinci did, right? And what Plato did, actually. They're finding out that Plato had written hidden music in his books.
Oh my God, that's insane genius.
Exactly. So
I can't even imagine being that genius.
Right. So every 12th line, because they used a 12-note octave then, every 12th line he inserted some kind of association to music. And so this is the way artists, when you get badass and open yourself up to all of creation, you're creating on multiple levels now.
It's amazing. I wonder if he knew he was doing it consciously.
Oh, yeah. See, how do you know? And I don't know. I don't know if he left a diary.
Yeah.
I'm leaving a diary, and I've been told to get over the ego part, because when anybody leaves a diary or any kind of memoirs, you never know whose hands it's going to get into.
Oh my God, I read, I don't know, almost exclusively for most of my life, memoirs and autobiographies, and I just love them.
Well, because that's somebody's inner feelings, and
Exactly.
and we
it's
all
far
have
more interesting than like some made up shit that's based on ego.
Right. So, to be determined where the hell this is going to go, but there is a lot of dark stuff coming out today.
Yeah, well, one thing I was getting on my walk that I just took was about how every one of these really hard, dark, dense experiences, if we can use them to have more empathy and more compassion for other people, that is exactly what brings us towards unity, right? Empathy is being able to feel as the other. So these bigger dark events, like a Holocaust, or I don't know, there's been quite a few, war, whatever, this divisiveness is really causing right now, as long as, and I should say, even if it's something in your own life, right? A good way to look at these hard things in your life is, okay, how can I create more compassion and empathy for this other person, for other people, for just the general collective as a whole? And that's all you're really supposed to be doing with it. So that's kind of like a skeleton key, so to speak, to unlock any of these like denser emotions and feelings and stuff. It's like, okay, if I can step back and figure out how this can help me create more compassion and empathy in the world, then you're doing the job.
I was in that movie, The Skeleton Key.
You were?
Kate Hudson. I was. I'm not going to tell you where I was, but I was in that movie. Anyway, on that note, I agree with you. And yes, your answer is nice and fucking sunny, which is fine. We wanted to bring up something, me, myself, and I, about you celebrating something that happened this week.
Woo! Big week. Closed on my house.
You closed on your 150-year-old house that you went...
170.
Oh, 170-year-old house.
Mm-hmm.
And there were spiders?
Yes, I went for the final walkthrough, and almost every single room I went to, there was a little teeny spider who had dropped down his little web right to my eye level. Like, can't miss me. I'm right here in multiple rooms. Like, just literally hanging out to say hi and welcome me to the home, like little Disney character spiders.
Like sidekick spiders.
Yeah, exactly. Like the mice in Cinderella.
Right.
Right? So, yeah, big day. Finally happened. That thing that I thought would never happen, it finally did it. And the whole day went off. I mean, I did have one final emotional breakdown in the morning, so that was fun. Needed to get it out.
Well, you got to get it out.
Yeah. And then the rest of the day just kind of went off without a hitch.
And so knowing now you're a homeowner, I remember you saying, this is never going to happen. Nothing's happening.
Yeah.
So what feeling do you have with that now that you are your own house owner?
Yeah, I mean, the next day I just felt, somebody asked me and I was like, I just feel so much lighter, like this heavy weight of fear and uncertainty that it was never going to happen. You know what I mean? Like that ego conversation. Like maybe that little devil on your shoulder finally like hopped off. It was like, this isn't going to happen. Something bad's going to happen. Yeah. Finally, he was like, fuck it. And he like jumped off. So I just felt a lot lighter without that conversation with my head. Because no, I did. And everything's fine so far in this now. So there's really no reason to worry about it.
Well, what do we define worry as anyway? Planning something you don't want to happen.
Exactly.
Right? So, well, I am glad because I feel like nothing's happening on my side. And maybe that's part of my emo thing is that I'm kind of little holding pattern. And
I got other big news.
Okay. Oh,
last week.
Go on with your big news.
So we also found out that the company that I've been with for 12 years is going to be sold, is being acquired. And so that hopefully will mean some money in my pocket out of nowhere from some stock options that I was given many years ago and have just been sitting on. They're going to turn into some cash.
Well, cash is a good thing.
Yeah. And maybe some other opportunities for some money. And a giant neon exit sign. That's
been your thing. We were, you were thinking like, all right, here it is that you were ready to move on to the next thing and nothing was happening there.
Yeah. So here it is. It's not happening today, but it's gonna happen, right?
And still for me, nothing's happening.
Still for you, nothing's happening. Even though we work for the same company, your part of the company is not being acquired.
Not at all.
So,
well, we are, we were talking about if we're creating this reality, right? And there's our higher self, our part of us that is knowing what's going on, knowing where we want. We've sent out our desires. They've noted it on the clipboard, and they're like, okay, we know what she wants. Now we're gonna direct her there if she'd pay attention.
Yeah.
Right.
Perfect timing thing they try to do.
And then that whole timing thing, and then the whole wait thing, and the whole it's not happening thing, and et cetera, et cetera. So, you were saying that you're I write stuff down on this list, and I'm like, I have no clue why I wrote it down. But I'm putting it because maybe it's going to remind you of something. Your appliances are falling apart in your old place.
Oh, yeah. Every time I'm ready to move on, things just start to like fall apart all at the same time in the place that I'm living in. It's always happened. Even though I've lived at places for 3 years, and then right before it's time to move, shit just starts falling apart. And now my fridge is going, and I got light bulbs that refuse. Every time I put a new light bulb in, they just blows immediately. My sink's not really working. It's just like a mess here.
So are you creating that every time you leave a place?
Absolutely.
It's like your exit, what do they call it at the end of your neon exit sign. What do they call it at the end of the, symphony?
They're
what they call it.
Yeah, I don't know. They're playing me off stage, right?
The curtains going down.
Yeah, so it's just, I like to give myself some pretty obvious signs that it's that reality. I think of what we were talking about. It's almost like I don't have the energy to keep that reality in creation, right? In the physical. It's falling apart because my energy of the reality that I'm creating is elsewhere. It's at that new house. It's not at this house. So it's almost like it's crumbling because my mind can't be worried to, keep it afloat. Right. Keep it in creation.
Because you're done with it. You've gotten what you needed to get out of it, and now you're going to let it go for the next person, and hopefully they get new appliances.
Yeah. Hopefully everything works fine for them.
Well, still for me, nothing's happening. But, you and I have been working on a project, and I don't know if we want to mention what it is, if we want to talk about it. I'm so excited about it, and it is happening, but it's not happening, right?
It's Someday.
Well, that's what I mean, is that it's not happening. So do you want to talk about it? You want to tease somebody about it? Like what's going on?
Yeah, let's put it out there.
Let's put it out there. Oh, yeah. Well, you know what? We're early. Like, as far as that's concerned, we have no idea. Right now, we're November 27th of 2020. We have no idea how long we're going to be locked up in our homes or anything. So we were creating a conference for badass collaborators, people who are dreaming, know they're creating their reality, done or close to done with the healing, and just want to see how far they can stretch their belief systems into creating new worlds. So it's called AwakeCon, and that's awakecon.com. And there's a team of us that are doing this for badass women on literally different corners of the country. And we're very, very excited about having that. It's tentatively in LA in October of 2021, but like we said, we don't know. So here's me going back to the nothing's happening, is that I'm getting all this information along with Miranda and the other two girls. We're getting all this information and we're recording it all, and we can't use it yet.
Yes, we're in this holding pattern.
Yeah, and you said you were talking to your team about being in a holding pattern right now with the pandemic, et cetera, but what did they say?
Yeah, well, they said that, we're using this holding pattern time to be able to be more creative and allow more energies to come in, right? So things are going to start happening really fast when they start. So they said, enjoy having some peace, because you're gonna miss it shortly enough, because they've been telling me all year it's slow and then fast. So enjoy it now, because save up your energy, be able to handle all the things that are coming in next month. And then a lot of crazy shit's going to happen. So
what's coming in next month? Because I don't know anything about the astrology stuff. Talk about what that is.
I haven't done a post on it. I'm probably going to do that this weekend. But on December 21st, there is what is called a grand conjunction. It happens every 20 years. And this is a conjunction between Saturn and Jupiter, and a conjunction is, two planets that are, very close in degree. It's usually within 10 degrees, but these are outer planets, so they tend to be really close for a long time, but they will be within a few minutes of each other.
So what does that mean for...
They will be as close to each other as they have been in, hundreds of years, in this conjunction, in Aquarius. So we have Jupiter energy, which I've said before, Jupiter expands anything that it touches, right? So it's just expanding everything. It also represents our higher wisdom, our higher truths. And then we have Saturn, which are these sort of control structures, and success, and it kind of depends where you are in the world, but I think this time, government is probably going to come in there big. So we have this higher wisdom, we have these control structures and government structures and these big businesses and that sort of thing. And then we have Aquarius, and it will have it's in the first degree. I don't even think it hits 1 degree Aquarius. So it'd be just on the cusp of Aquarius. And we've all been waiting for this age of Aquarius, right?
Well, they've been singing about it since the 60s.
Yeah. So Aquarius is a higher perspective, right? It's this detached higher perspective. And, everyone's sort of coming together What's going on there? You got
I
ghosts?
have no idea what just fell. Something just fell in my apartment, and I have no idea what it was. I might have
It
ghosts. Go
sounded
on.
close. So we have this higher perspective, and we have sort of group consciousness, which is usually the higher perspective, right? Your higher self. So, I mean, I don't know. I have to write a post about what it means, but those are all the elements involved. So something big's gonna happen.
So I remember back December 21st, 2012, right? And I remember that was the end of the world, which was, the end of the Mayan calendar, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember I was pretty far along on my awakening path, but nowhere near the perspective I have now. And predictions back then were something that I scoffed at. I'm like, whatever. You know how many times people have predicted stuff and it never came true. This is another one. And so I went into December 21st, 2012, like with my arms folded all day. I'm like, all right, let's see the damn world end. Let's do it. Come on. I want to see it end, right? Snarky. And you know how well snarky does with the universe. Not very well. So I sat there all day and I'm like, the world's not ending. It's not ending. It's not ending. It's not ending. And, 1201 comes around. We're all still here. The world didn't blow up, et cetera, et cetera. And I was like, this is bullshit, right? All these predictions are bullshit. And that was before I really got into, learning about the equinoxes, learning about the fact that it's all energy, right? I started to see things as energy versus an objective universe where you just happen to be standing somewhere when, an asteroid comes out of the sky and hits you. That's not the sort of world that we live in. But here we come around again, right, to 2020. We've got December 21st again, the equinox. And I'm like, what if the world does end this time? Like, obviously for somebody's timelines, right? They're going to be so excited about it ending and going somewhere that they're like, all right, this is it. This is it. It didn't end in 2012, but it can end now, right? So
if they believe it.
Right, if they believe it. So, I wonder again about myself, and this is emo Kimberly talking, where there's probably 6 times the number of words that you really need for me to say.
Okay.
But
noted.
But just because nothing happened last time doesn't mean that you need to pre-program yourself that nothing is going to happen this time. And that's a huge, huge lesson right there, right? Things don't need to repeat themselves, but if you want them to, then they will, right? And that goes for whether the world exists or the world blows itself up. It's still your beliefs either way.
Yeah, and just because something on the outer world didn't happen back in 2012 or coming up on the 21st, just because an outer event doesn't happen does not mean a huge energetic thing is not happening. Those things don't necessarily happen at the same time, right? A choice point happens and then you watch that play out in a certain way, and that takes linear time because that's where we're living. So some huge energetic thing is going to happen on the 21st. Whether or not we see that on the 21st or what that looks like, we don't know. But I'm promising you, the planets are saying something's happening. Whether or not it's in the outside or internally in you, like I said, this is a higher perspective. This is you essentially connecting with your higher self, Aquarius, and getting that higher perspective and knowing. And whether you consciously realize that your higher self and you are talking, especially people who, aren't quite awake and don't even know that these things are happening, it might be a point where their higher selves and their human selves are connecting in a way that they've never done before. Mm-hmm. And what that could mean for, if that's happening globally, what that could mean for these large structures, we don't know. because there's leaders set in place for a reason right now, right?
Yeah.
And if they connect, if these people at the top, have these surprising awakenings, right? That can happen in a moment, and they're already in place as a leader at the top. Things can change that quickly, they're in place where they are for a reason. So when I say something's going to happen, it doesn't have to be negative. You know what I mean? It doesn't have to be an end of the world. As we talked about it on a previous podcast, it's the end of the world as you know it. But it doesn't mean that, Aquarius also represents these surprising events, right? That you couldn't have guessed. So, I'm just making a guess here, but like something crazy could happen. It could be really amazing if that's the world you want to live in.
I want to live on the amazing world. I want to live on the amazing world. Yes, I agree with you 100%. And we were talking, I think, in a couple podcasts ago about clearing the 8th chakra. And the 8th chakra is basically the chakra that is just above your head, a couple inches to a couple feet above your head. And it is the representation of your higher self. So humans have been walking around symbolically all of this time with a veil over their heads that has been separating the first 7 chakras from the 8th through 12th chakras, which are outside of your body. And so symbolically, you and your higher self are now connecting, right? So energetically, that's what Aquarius is representing. Now, I'm not an astrology person, but I do understand the energy, and I can see how what you were saying about the leaders being in place, this is something people, all of a sudden, when you say something like that, like I jumped back into a relatively asleep person's perspective for a second, and I was ready to argue with you, right? From a 3D perspective, like, look at who's in place in this place, and it takes a long time for this next person to get elected, et cetera, et cetera. But there's something higher than that too, because, right now we may be dealing with a specific person's 3D persona, but if they go through an awakening process, we get to deal with their 4D and 5D and higher personas, and they're already in place. So like you said with the Cook brother, I don't know how to pronounce it, Cook. The Koch brother,
K-O-C-H, yeah.
Right, where for most of his life he was in very 3D perspective, and all of a sudden he's moved up. Now he's got all of that influence to use for lighter things. Yeah. Lighter things, right? So being in place doesn't necessarily mean that you actually have to replace the people.
Exactly.
Right? It's just that people have new perspectives, and they're already in place to, enact them. So
and that is what Aquarius is. Remember, Aquarius is an air sign. I know it sounds like a water sign, but it is an air sign, right? And
wait, that's a mistake, right? Isn't it supposed to be a water sign?
No.
I mean, I would think a scorpion, like me, I'm Scorpio. Why am I a water sign? I should be an air sign.
God. You're emo as fuck. Look at you right now.
Oh, telling you. All right, go on.
But yeah, so our air signs are our mental capacities. And so Aquarius is this, our higher mind, so to speak.
Well, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
The feelings to create. So here we are. And when you're in a specific frequency and you're out there in the world and you want to see something, you're looking for something, always looking for love, or not just love, but feeling of love, feeling of connection with people, and inside you're not feeling connected, then we're seeing this right now with all of our great replies that we're getting on our broadcast. Isn't that perfect? So we're not going to probably keep this one live for too long, but we want to tell you what we're seeing right now. We're getting all sorts of Orion energy coming in the chat, and we're not mentioning it. And we're not mentioning it on purpose because first of all, it's hysterical. Second of all, we are You go ahead, Miranda. Tell me what you're thinking about what you're seeing here on the chat.
I mean, I'm flattered.
She's getting all sorts of propositions, we'll say. And so, but see, now you guys came to this fantastic podcast, and you have no idea who you're talking to. That's the thing that's funny. So, for those who are listening, there's a lot of kind of nasty stuff going on. And yes, we all love Miranda. There's all sorts of marriage proposals and other proposals going on.
Not the first.
Oh, that's so sweet. So, I had Janice Joplin come in today with me, and I was emo, and of course she was a blues singer, right? And she was an amazing blues singer and lived her life, every minute of it, exactly the way she wanted to live it. And I was getting a little bit of admonishment from her too, in that I wasn't having enough fun. I was taking it all too seriously, blah, 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 blah. And I'm saying, like, okay, I meant to say I'm going to behave, right? Meaning I'm going to pay attention and listen to what she said. But as soon as I said I'm going to behave, she changed it to misbehave. Like, she took my words and she changed it to misbehave. I'm like, that was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Like, someone took the words out of my head and replaced them with something more fun. So that was one aspect of me working with another aspect of me. You want to answer that post right there, Miranda?
Oh, God.
Kimberly definitely owns a rabbit. Well, I do have a giant 3-foot rabbit.
Do you want to show them?
I don't think I should. His name is Winston, and he's a giant rabbit statue. So not the kind of rabbit you're talking about, but thanks for the thought.
I mean,
Anyway.
we were just looking at vibrator sponsors for our conference.
We
Before
were.
mentioned
So
conference. So.
we were. So we are going to have a conference, and we are going to give away a vibrator as a raffle prize, and it's called Lioness.io is the site, and it's quite a developed rabbit, quite a technologically advanced rabbit.
Very smart.
Yeah, but I mean, on an
smart.
app? I'm like, I don't know if I want that on an app. Right? So it measures something.
It measures, well, you have to sync it up later, not like at the time.
Wait, sync SINK or SYNC?
SYNC. You sync it up later after the fact if you want to learn about, your last interaction with it. So it remembers everything that you did, I guess. I don't know.
Like the seat in my car when it knows whose butt's on there, and it just kind of.
Well, that's fancy. I mean, mine doesn't do shit.
Mine adjusts for the butt that's sitting on it or the weight or something.
It knows it's your butt?
Yeah.
Automatically?
Maybe by weight or something. I don't know. Yeah, it just seems to adjust. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
I mean, I hope you're not sharing your vibrator. I wouldn't recommend that. It's like a personal product.
It's a personal product. Yes. Anyway, that kind of threw me off of the subject. So, whatever the subject was.
December 21st, crazy shit. Whether in the physical or energetically, some shit's going down. And then it'll be my birthday, so.
And then you'll be finished with your advent calendar with the wine. That's what I was going to do. Okay, so thank you for bringing that up. I was talking with Janice. We decided that misbehaving is better. And then she was explaining to me about patience, and I'm not a patient person. So she's like, I know what's bothering you. She's like, you have all of these friends. You two, you, Miranda, and your two friends that are creating this conference. You're doing it with non-physical friends. You're doing it with a lot of people that are in the non-physical. And that means that you don't have a meeting room to go sit down and talk to them in, right? So we're navigating the 3D perspective, and then we're having to navigate the 5D perspective and validate the information that's coming into us from contributors.
I have a room that I go to chat with them in. With my non-physical.
Okay, but
in my head
in your head.
That I'm decorating. It's gorgeous. Got some really amazing chevron floors. And I got a comfy chair. And then, just whoever comes in the door, I ask them to come in and, sit down in front of me. And
is there a fire?
A chair, too. Sometimes. I mean, it's kind of like a big blank room. I have my chair and, I have a cool shower that I saw once that sometimes, if I need an energetic shower, and then people can, I'm whoever wants to come in, with giant teddy bear to give me a hug, or, one of those men in a loincloth that I talk to, or whoever else wants to come in. But, if you do want to sit down with your team and actually look at them physically, it's nice. It's you sit down in your little room and
but it's not physical.
In. It's not physical.
It's not physical, right? But I understand that when the multidimensional aspect of it is just as real as physical, and I'm putting real in quotes again, right? Mm-hmm. Because real is really you're real, right? What if we touch something, whether anything, we touch anything, and we just believe the idea that it's solid, right? When it's just as not solid as that person that comes and sits down at your fireside chair. Mm-hmm. Right? So what Janice was saying, she's like, you're making a very big distinction between what's physical and what's not physical when you don't need to. Because none of it is really physical.
Right.
Right? So the chats are continuing, and they're pretty funny. So they want to make an appointment with Miranda to visit her in her little team room. And
I switched screens, so I'm not looking at them anymore.
Yeah, so she doesn't want to see them anymore. But it's pretty funny, and there won't be any. Deranged Lunatic says, "Let's get physical," which is funny. What was that song? Debbie somebody.
Harris?
Let's get physical.
No.
Physical.
Yeah, the song.
Okay, there's been a lot of 70s and 80s songs coming in, so that must be tied to Orion energy somewhere. But
the 70s and the 80s were somehow tied to Orion energy?
No, just for me. My personal times. No. I mean, Orion energy's been around forever, but if I say anything, the 70s, 60s, 70s, and 80s were the least Orion energy related.
Right?
For me, they were,
free love, baby.
Free love, baby. And bell bottoms, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I can't wait till they come back in. I can't wear them yet.
They came back for me when I was in junior high school. 90s.
Right.
Odds. They were back. Big time.
All right. Well, I think that we are good for today. Do you have anything else you want to say for this week?
No. I'm going to do a post on whatever the team wants to tell people about for the 21st. So if you follow at Astro Bartender on Instagram, you'll be updated whenever that comes in and I put it up. So
Astro Bartender,
And if you want to follow along about the conference and some fun things we have planned for January to get us started, extra fun stuff, follow us at AwakeCon Show.
AwakeCon Show, because we are having a little bit of a game show thing going on starting in January. We are going to need contestants. So if you are interested in being a contestant, then go to the Instagram or awakecon.com and get some information on that. And the producers will give you a call if it's something that we need. Otherwise, thank you all for listening. And Miranda's fan club is still here talking about your future children. And thank you all for listening and your fantastic comments. And until next time, cheers.
Cheers.